Bet you didn't expect to see this in here. Like millions of other fans over the decades, I've loved the Muppets for as long as I can remember. Jim Henson's greatest creations have always brought along with them a sense of familiarity and fun that only they could provide. It's a mix of humor and authentic warmth that have kept them alive for so long. Their theatrical movies are a staple of their legacy, and today we're taking a look at their sophomore effort from 1981. What made this unique from the other Muppet films? Is it among the best of their work? And how does it tie in to Universal Pictures? I have the answers. It's time to get things started.
Why don't you get me started?
This is what we call the Great Muppet Caper. Working as investigative reporters for the Daily Chronicle, indistinguishable twin brothers Kermit the Frog and Fozzie Bear, along with their photographer Gonzo, are fired by their boss for getting scooped on a jewel heist story by rival papers. To prove their worth and catch the thieves, they travel to England. Once there, the trio check in at the grungy Happiness Hotel and track down the workplace of wealthy fashionista Lady Holiday. Holiday's jewels were the ones stolen. But before Kermit can talk to her, aspiring model Miss Piggy is hired on as a receptionist and impersonates her new boss to win over the Frog's favor. On their first date, which all the Muppets attend, the real Lady Holiday shows up, accompanied by her sleazy brother Nicky. As Miss Piggy's lie is exposed, Nicky is shown to be discreetly leading the group who's been stealing his sister's valuables. Why is a Muppet movie being covered here on Juniversal? Believe it or not, The Great Muppet Caper is the one and only film in the series to be distributed by Universal Pictures. Details are a little murky, but they may still retain US theatrical distribution rights. Disney, of course, purchased the Muppets back in 2004 and have most of the films currently available on Disney+. But when I saw this was listed as a Universal release, I thought, why not? Is it a technicality? Maybe. I think you'll agree, though, we can all use more Muppets in our lives. Alright, it's confession time. Apparently, I had never seen the first 3 Muppet movies in full. I always thought I did, but I had probably just seen famous clips so many times over the years that they checked those particular boxes in my memory. Now, I did grow up with The Muppet Show, Muppet Babies, The Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, and Muppets from Space. I also absolutely love the 2011 film. How could I not? The main character shares my name. Muppets Most Wanted was alright, and I was one of the folks who checked out the ABC series from 2015. All this is to say, I was disappointed in myself, taking for granted that I'd actually seen the original 3 films when I didn't. I rectified that before writing this review, so consider that loop closed. The first Muppets movie from 1979 exudes fun and heart in a way that really landed with me. I was always a huge fan of Rainbow Connection, but the scenes with Kermit reminding himself to not give up on the dream and the whole ending perfectly drive home the moral. The joy of creating was at the forefront of Jim Henson's philosophy. To me, combining slapstick humor and solid comedy writing with genuine pathos is the perfect blend for a Muppet feature. The Great Muppet Caper has its moments, but didn't chase that formula. The team took a bit of a different approach this time around, deciding on more of a fun farce over the mix of sincerity and laughs from their first cinematic outing. But it also doesn't go far enough into absurd territory to stand out as something completely different. There's no doubt, this film had a lot to live up to at the time. It premiered during the final season of The Muppet Show, so tides were already shifting for the core characters. Henson took on directing duties for the first and only time for a theatrical Muppets feature. He was constantly on the move, puppeting and voicing several of these main characters, producing and directing other productions, and leading his own company. The guy was always busy with several projects simultaneously while innovating much in his field. A lot of the more intimate details of his work and the impact he had were covered brilliantly in the 2024 documentary Jim Henson, Idea Man. If you're a fan of the Muppets or any of Jim's work, I'd highly suggest giving it a watch.
Wow, it's gonna be terrific, starring everybody!
And me.
One of the aspects that hit an enjoyable over-the-top quality was Charles Grodin as Nicky. Growing up, I was really only familiar with this guy as the dad from Beethoven, and I always thought there was something a little offbeat about him back then. Now, I know why. This man is so convincingly and deeply in love with the pig that if he was the Prime Minister in the first Black Mirror episode, there'd be no problem. Dude is hungry for some ham.
I don't know why you love her like you do.
I don't know why, I just do.
I'll give Grodin credit. He sold it. Being appropriately slimy in his delivery and body language also added a lot, making him a distinct villain. The character is an irresponsible parasite, says so on his door. He's a creepy and sometimes off-putting presence in a good way, if that makes any sense.
I feel as if thieves were breathing down my neck.
Thieves aren't breathing down your neck.
I want to put them in a safe.
No.
Yes.
Yes, I meant yes. Why would I say no when I meant yes?
As with most Muppet productions, there are plenty of cameos, including Jim Henson himself, which is a nice surprise. Among the notable ones is John Cleese as Neville. He seems wasted here as a bored, wealthy homeowner comically underreacting to these felt menaces in his house. Peter Falk is by far the funniest as a sketchy watch salesman.
I know exactly what happened to you.
What?
You and your brother-in-law, Bernie, you cashed in your stock certificates and your insurance policy, and you went out and bought a dry cleaning establishment.
Huh?
He got the assignment and played well off Kermit, just a sort of inconsequential interaction that was humorous because of its charismatic pointlessness. What he talks about is so random. Oscar the Grouch shows up for a moment, following in the tradition of Big Bird from the previous movie.
What are you doing here?
A very brief cameo.
Me too.
Always nice to see that piece of garbage. Jack Warden plays the Daily Chronicle's editor-in-chief, Mike Tarkanian.
Not a robot!
Yes, same guy. I gotta retire that bit. His scene is important as it introduces the running joke of Kermit and Fozzie being identical twins that no one can tell apart.
You two guys don't look anything alike.
Fozzie, put your hat back on.
Oh, yes, sir. See?
Oh, yeah.
I love the picture of the brother's supposed father. That's the best fusion since Vegito. Whenever the bit came up, it was good for a laugh. That brings me to the best yucks of this here picture. When anybody's being cruel to the Muppets, it usually provides a solid chuckle. Kermit, Fozzie, and Gonzo are stuffed into the undercarriage of a flight to Italy and thrown out over London while still in their animal crates. It was unexpected and especially funny since Gonzo's crate was labeled with his signature, whatever.
Places where you can park your carcasses. Bus terminals, riverbanks, the Happiness Hotel.
Happiness Hotel? That sounds great. What's wrong with bus terminals?
They're also tossed off a bus in front of the Happiness Hotel. The way they ragdoll off the back of that thing really got me. But what had me in stitches was the way Gonzo hailed a cab. I laughed so hard I nearly snorted. Gonzo's often hysterical for how eccentric he can be, but this had to be one of his most hilarious moments. And it's such a simple joke. There's a point where Kermit and Miss Piggy argue in the park, breaking the fourth wall in a very humorous way. At first, they follow the script, but soon get into a real argument.
You're overacting.
What?
You're overacting. You're hamming it up.
I am not. I am trying to save this movie. I don't need this lousy duck pond here.
Sure you don't need a lousy
You
duck
just
pond.
walk.
Okay,
You
sure,
can
go
walk.
ahead,
Sure,
walk.
walk.
Okay, walk, sure, walk. Go ahead and walk.
They do that meta joke a lot. It's basically the premise of the whole opening number, but it happens more frequently than I expected across the movie.
It's plot exposition. It has to go somewhere. Anyway.
Of course, the Muppets are known for this kind of humor, calling out cliches, etc., but the joke kind of got old. It works in some scenes, but recurred 2 or 3 times too many. It was to the point where I was asking why this adventure they were play acting in was important at all. Might as well have the plot follow the making of this movie. That seems more up Muppet Alley instead of constantly telling us the events of the film have no real consequence. Even in the bits that don't work 100%, they still get a light smile. It's just not the best work I've seen from the team, especially considering the 120 episodes of The Muppet Show that aired during this same period. Unfortunately, the music was a letdown for me. The songs are decent, but almost none of them got in my ear like some from the 1979 film or the TV show. However, Joe Raposo was still nominated for an Oscar in the Best Original Song category for the first time it happens. Funnily enough, Miss Piggy won the Youth in Film Award for Best Young Musical Recording Artist in 1981. It was for her performance of the same song, and the only time a non-human won that honor. The only musical number that stood out to me personally was Piggy's Fantasy. It was the most memorable and entertaining in the film. The overall sequence was actually really impressive. It involved synchronized swimmers, water effects, and Miss Piggy herself swimming underwater. They even had air bubbles blowing out of her nose and a harp strumming away beneath the surface. There's a point where she's lifted up on a rising fountain with sparklers in her hair. She stands there in all her slow-motion glory before leaping off and diving into the pool below. I think they had to have pulled that off with an actor inside a suit. It's a seamless transition of what I'm sure were different approaches stitched together to bring this scene to life. I love Nicky's operatic voice in there too. The contrast is perfect, and Piggy even calls him out for it later.
You can't even sing! Your voice was dubbed!
Several other effects with the Muppets in this film should always be appreciated. The bike scene clearly ups the ante from the original film, and while I didn't think the song was anything special, there's no denying the innovations shown off by the crew. A mix of techniques like animatronics, marionette rigging, and Brian Henson simply pulling them along made for an all-time moment. After Piggy and Kermit make up, she's framed for Nicky's crimes. The real offenders then plan on breaking into the Mallory Gallery to steal Lady Holiday's most expensive piece, the baseball diamond. Gonzo overhears them and informs the other Muppets. Together, they plan on stopping the robbery and exposing the criminals. After breaking out of prison, Miss Piggy enters the fray, which ends in Kermit and the gang foiling the heist. Police arrest Nicky and his accomplices as Fozzie, Gonzo, and Kermit are joined by the rest of their friends on their trek home to America.
There could be physical violence, there could be gunplay, and there's the slightest chance that somebody might even get killed.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to go out there and risk our lives.
The Great Muppet Caper opened on June 26, 1981, to an underwhelming box office return. The sequel netted $31.2 million off a $14 million budget. It was still a moneymaker, but brought in less than half the theatrical haul of its predecessor, making it somewhat of a financial disappointment. Critics and audiences at the time seemed to like the movie, but not love it.
What made the Muppets great in the first place on television and in their first movie was the way they seemed to reflect real human qualities. This time, they're so one-dimensional, so shallow, and so pre-packaged, why, they're almost like puppets.
Roger Ebert was more negative on this film, giving it 2 stars and not recommending it on his show with Gene Siskel. I point to his analysis because I share a lot of the same thoughts. While there are more enjoyable moments in The Great Muppet Caper than not, it appeared to miss the point on maybe the most important reason why we love the characters. They're funny, they're cute, and they're entertaining, but they lack the reflective human emotion here, which might be why they went back to the more tried and true formula in 1984's The Muppets Take Manhattan. I still like this film, but to me it's just okay. Sort of a middling entry in the franchise, and went down a route that wasn't as interesting as it could have been. And yet, we're still provided with fun-to-watch technical achievements and a so-strange-you-can't-look-away antagonist. A few really funny bits hit their targets, and this adventure in particular left me wanting more of Gonzo. It would be quite a while before Muppets from Space came out with him as the centerpiece. Whether you like that movie or not, Gonzo deserved his time in the spotlight there. When I look at the whole picture, The Great Muppet Caper is almost stuck in between several good ideas. If they went all the way with the making a movie thing or leaned into the jewel heist plot as something a little more wild and crazy, I think this would have worked out better. As is, it's a passable Muppet adventure and still a recommendation. Check it out for yourself if you're like me and never did. For the Muppet fans who I'm sure grew up watching this movie, what are your thoughts? Am I way off? Is this a favorite among the fandom or just a personal favorite of yours? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you head on over to the Walter Culture YouTube channel for more content and join me next time here on Juniversal. We're going back to the Spielberg well for one of the most successful movies ever made. So hop on and enjoy the ride.